One thing about this game is it's definitely on the easier end of games, but at the same time, it's the kind of game where you can do it in 6 minutes and then have a couple extra minutes for a harder game. So that's what we want to get to. So I imagine that a lot of us are not at 6 minutes yet. Some of us are, but a lot of us are not. That's fine. Accuracy is more important first, but let's talk about the setup and what we can do here. So they talked about the 6 groups, and then they said the 6 groups will be evaluated separately, one after the other, in accordance with the following conditions. That one after the other, that sounds like an ordering game. That's why I did this left to right, right? And so 1 through 6. Okay. Then it says the teachers must be evaluated sometime before the medical doctors and at some time before the nurses. So I don't know where that's going to go in the diagram, but I do know that, okay, T is going to be before M, and T is going to be before N. Sound good? I don't know M and N's relationship. M could be before N or vice versa. Sound good? Then it says the medical doctors must be evaluated sometime before the lawyers, M before L. If you wrote this rule separately, and I saw that some of us did, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here because you're missing an inference, right? If they say M is before L, you should just link that right in here. In general, you're going to link whatever you can link together. And now you know that T has to be before M and it has to be before L. Okay, then it says the nurses must be evaluated either immediately before or immediately after the police officers. I'm just going to link that in right here. I'm going to say, okay, N and P have to be next to each other. I don't know the order though, so you know how we symbolize that? Yeah?
Do you do a little swoopy with 2 arrows?
I would do a swoopy, but without the 2 arrows. The 2 arrows to me actually says if you have one, then you have to have the other. But we don't have a conditional relationship here. It's not if one, then the other. We know that you're going to have them.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave the arrows off. And normally I put my arcs above the block, but there's not room, so I'm just going to put it below. Sound good? So now it's like a block, but you just don't know who's first or second in that block. Then it says the police officers must be evaluated at some time between the judges and the lawyers, regardless of whether the judges are evaluated before the lawyers or after. This, to me, screams, let's create worlds. Because you have an or statement, right? And in one situation, L is after N and P and J is before it, and in the other situation, it's reversed. Because it's saying that the police officers come between J and L, right? And you know that the police officers and the nurses are essentially like a team, a block. So L is going to come after N and P, and J is going to come before them, or vice versa. So what I did here, you guys okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I did here, I'm going to actually stretch this out just a little bit. As I said, okay, well, if L comes after the police officers, and by definition the nurses, then J is going to come before. Right, that's world 1. Now that's not my only option. The other option is that N and P come after L, right, instead of before L. And when N and P come after L, what happens to J?
J goes after N and P?
It then would go after N and P, right? So if L is before N and P, in other words, if N and P comes after L, then J has got to come after N and P. So my other world looks something like this. T, M, because these rules all still apply, L. But now N and P comes after, oh shoot, I might not have enough space. Let me just bring this. Yeah, well, I'll just do it over here. I can squeeze it in here. Okay, so if you have T, then you know M, and then you know L, and then we know N and P comes after, because that's our other option. And then J would come after that. I can just get rid of all this, we never even use it. So, those are my 2 worlds. You guys cool with that? So, in this case, It's coming after L, which means this has got to come before J. In this case, it's coming before L, so J's got to come before A. Now, in this world, we actually know quite a bit. What do you know in this world?
T is first.
T is first. Anything else?
J is last.
J is last. Yeah? Yeah?
You know everything except NP, whether it's 4 or 5.
That's right. Because if you count this up, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all the variables. So these have got to take up the first 3 slots. These has to take up the last slot. And then those two are going back and forth in 4 and 5. You're covering your... This is...
Oh, that's because I'm tired.
Oh, you're tired. Okay, I thought you're like, oh my god.
No, I get it.
All right. So, anyways, those are our 2 worlds. Now this one's a little more complicated. So actually, let's do a quick quiz on this one. Who wants to take a challenge here? It's gonna be embarrassing and horrible, but you'll learn something from it more than anyone else. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the earliest slot that N could be in? In this world.
4.
Okay. How'd you get that?
Or wait, no. Hold on. Could actually be in 3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, because T and J just have to come before it, and
Yep.
then still come after the pair.
Yes, that's exactly right. So N could be as early as 3. What's the latest it could be?
5.
5. Yeah, because it could switch with P,
Mhm.
and then it would have to still have L after it, but it could be 5, and then L could be 6.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. Anyone else? Up for a challenge? Okay. How about let's talk about M. What's the earliest M could be?
2.
Okay. How'd you get that?
It just has to be after T.
Okay. Excellent. What's the latest M could be?
It'd be 5. 5.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I know there's all this stuff going on, but the only thing that has to be after M is L. So it could be anywhere from 2 to 5. If there's anywhere that M can't be. Yeah, there's a... Oh, this is an advanced question. Where can M not go?
It can't be 1 at 6.
Okay, it can't be 1 and 6. Yeah, where else can... So in that range of 2 to 5, normally you would just say, hey, it can go anywhere in that range. But I don't think it can in this game. There's at least one place where it cannot go.
Well, it would either be 3 or 4.
3.
Okay.
Between N and P.
Yeah, so here, let's visualize this for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that M is stuck between these here. And you're saying, you're saying it couldn't go in 3?
That's what I'm thinking.
Alright, let's play it out. So if M goes there, I won't draw anything else. Can you see
No,
everything else?
it couldn't be in 4.
Okay, it couldn't be. Why could it go here?
Why could it go there?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have N and P after it.
You could have N and P after it, and then you could have L, and then what would go in these slots?
T and J.
T and J. Do we know the order?
No.
No. Okay. But you're saying 4 is not going to work. Yeah, why doesn't that work?
Well, yeah, because N and P have to be 4. In this situation, you have nowhere for N and P to go.
Yeah. One way to test this out in your mind is to, you know that N or P has to go before or after, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it goes after, is that going to work out? No, because you have to put NP here and then L would go off the board, right? If you put it before, NP would have to go here, and then what's the problem?
You have nowhere for. You have to put T and J both before.
That's
N
right.
and P.
Yeah. Okay. Not that you have to see that. I'm just trying to get us to a point where we can see how to read these worlds. But we only need to read them on a need-to-know basis, depending on what they ask us. Question 1. Which of the following could be the order in which the 6 groups are evaluated? One way to go through this answer choice quickly is to grab more than one rule. So what I would like to do is I'm going to grab TML, because that's actually, oh, well, that's the first rule. But the first rule, or the first sentence, no, the first sentence was actually T is before M and T is before N. But anyways, this is true in both worlds. So it's just a simple chain, right? So I'm just going to say TML, and I'm going to go down the list and get rid of any that violate that. A, TML is fine. B, TML is fine. C, M, that's out, right? Okay, D, TL, okay, that's out, because it should be TML. And then E, TML, so that's fine. Okay, so what's another easy thing to grab?
P and N.
P and N. Okay, that's great. Yeah, so let's start with A. So P and N, that's the problem with A. So that's out. B, we have P and N. E, we have P and N. Okay, so what's another easy one? Or maybe it's gonna get harder at this point.
J and L.
It's got to be the JL rule, right? Probably at this point. They're going to test that because it's kind of a complicated rule. So the bottom line is that N and P are going to come between them. I don't know what order. So N and P in B is not between them. So B is out. So it's got to be E. Sound good? Okay. Question. Now, normally I would do if questions first and then I would do the non-if questions, but this game is like pretty well laid out. We have all the variables in our chains, so I'm just going to do these in order. 6, which one of the following groups could be evaluated 6? Without looking at the answers, who could go 6?
A. Judges.
Without looking at the answers.
L or J.
L and J, right? So when you go into the answers, you're like, okay, I know I can only see one of those. Otherwise, they'd both be correct. And we have J. So that's got to be the answer. And we don't have L. So I know it's kind of silly to look for the absence of L, but if I predict the answer is J and L, and then I look and I see that L is not in that list, I'm like, okay, I know I'm like on the right track with this game. So that builds my confidence so that when I'm going through the other answer choices, I'm more likely to just stop at an answer choice when I see a correct answer. Whereas if you like are not sure about a game, you might want to go through all 5 to make sure you're reading the rules right. Okay, 3. If L is evaluated before J. If L is before J, which world are we in?
The top one.
Okay, top world, right? And this is an easy one. So which one of the following could be true? Could J be third?
No.
No, it's last. Could M be fifth? No, it's second. Could N be third? No, it's fourth or fifth. Could P be fourth? Yeah, because this is going back and forth. So it could be fourth or fifth. So D is the answer. 4, if the police officers are evaluated fifth. Okay. Which world is that?
Both.
Both. Yeah. So in this world, we just leave it how it is because that's P and 5. Here, what are you seeing in your head? At the end, right? Like, yeah, you have N, P, and L, right? Because if P is going to be fifth, then I have to put this block immediately before L. And then L has to be last. Is anyone struggling to see that? Okay. Which of mine must be true? J is third. No, it could be last. L is 6. No, it could be third. M is second. It is here. Does it have to be a second here? No. Like you could have J, T, and then M. N is fourth. Well, yeah, because if P is fifth, then you have L, P, N, and you have J, P, N. So N is fourth in both worlds. It has to be true in both because it's a must be true question, which means it's always true. 5. What is the minimum number of groups that must be evaluated after the teachers? Okay, so in this world, how many groups are evaluated after teachers?
5.
All 5, right? Here, if I wanted to minimize the number of teachers or things after the teachers, what am I going to get?
4.
4, right? Or another way of looking at it, how many could you put before the teachers?
1.
1. So the other 4. So the answer is B. All right, questions about this game? How many people did World? I'm just curious.
Say it again.
How many people did Worlds? No one. Alright. I mean, it's definitely doable. You don't have to do Worlds for this game. It's an easier one. But I do feel like it can speed things up. So, let's do another game.